You work every month, but the money never seems to last. This is the rat race, a cycle where people keep running, but never actually get ahead. So what's your relationship with money, really? Today, we're breaking down exactly how to escape it, for good. Let's get started.
Welcome to This Explainer. Look, today we're unpacking a really fundamental reality about wealth. We're going to talk about why maximizing your production and not just aggressively cutting your consumption is the absolute cheat code to escaping the financial rat race. For years, we've all been taught that the secret to financial freedom is just relentless extreme frugality. But honestly, relying entirely on that strategy leaves out half of the equation, and as you'll see, it's definitely the most powerful half. So let's dive right into some numbers that are going to completely reframe how we should look at wealth. $300 million. Let that sink in for a second. That is an almost unfathomable amount of money for most of us. And it happens to be exactly how much the heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson, accumulated over the course of his boxing career. Now, you would naturally think that anybody pulling in this kind of massive cash has permanently secured their freedom, right? Like they've literally beaten the game. But money has a really strange way of behaving when your underlying habits just don't match your income.
And here is where we hit the ultimate mystery of wealth. Because despite pulling in that immense $300 million in earnings, in 2003, Mike Tyson filed for bankruptcy. He didn't just hit zero, he fell deep into the red, carrying a staggering $30 million in debt. No way, right? It poses a really crucial question. What is the actual point of acquiring immense wealth if the real issue lies in our fundamental inability to manage it once we finally have it?
Now, it's super easy to just dismiss this. You might be thinking, well, that's just a crazy celebrity problem. But let's bring it a bit closer to home. A career builder study revealed a shocking statistic. 78% of American workers are living paycheck to paycheck. And even more surprisingly, 1 in 10 workers making over $100,000 a year are in that exact same boat. This absolutely proves that a high income does not automatically equal wealth. If your financial habits are flawed, it's entirely possible to outspend literally any salary you're given. The disconnect here isn't mathematical, it's psychological. To solve this mystery, we have to fundamentally rethink money. It's not just a standard economic medium of exchange. Objectively, money is an expression of value. Think about it. When you pay for a service or when you get paid for your time, what's actually happening is an exchange of perceived value. Money equals value. Locking that single concept into our minds is the very first step to escaping the trap.
Understanding this helps us drop some incredibly common moral baggage, like that old saying that money is the root of all evil. We constantly assume that someone had to lose for someone else to gain. But when you realize money is just a representation of value created for the market, it proves that wealth itself is totally neutral. Sure, bad actors exist out there, but that reflects broken morals, not the money itself. Money simply broadens your options based on your own internal moral compass. Which brings up a fascinating question for all of us today. What is your actual relationship with money? Does it seem to enter your life on payday and just instantly evaporate? Has lacking it ever placed you in a super vulnerable position? Changing how we conceptually view money is great, but to make this actionable, we really have to look at how this equation plays out in our daily lives.
Financially speaking, our lives are perfectly divided into two distinct buckets. First, you've got consumption. This is the value consumed when money leaves your life, so Netflix subscriptions, cars, housing, and those nights out. Then there's production. This is the value produced when money enters your life, usually through your labor at a job or by running a business. Your net worth is simply the ultimate scorecard of the relationship between these two buckets. And if you're struggling, it just means that balance is way off.
You know, online gurus absolutely love to call the 9-to-5 the rat race just to sell you their courses. But honestly, that's pretty unfair to people who genuinely enjoy their careers. The real rat race is living on a financial edge. It's that stressful, self-defeating cycle of endlessly consuming to fund a lifestyle you can barely afford without focusing on your capacity to produce. It's basically being one unexpected medical bill or job loss away from total turmoil.
So why do we constantly fall into this stressful consumption trap? Well, it all boils down to behavioral psychology. Take the ostrich effect, for example. This is our brain's tendency to just bury its head in the sand to avoid negative financial info. It's that familiar, sinking dread where you absolutely refuse to open your banking app after a costly weekend out because you're terrified of what the balance might be. We literally can't fix a problem if our brains are hardwired to ignore it.
And this avoidance feeds right into another massive mental trap called hyperbolic discounting. It's just a fancy term for why we heavily favor immediate, short-term rewards over much greater long-term gains. It's the exact reason our brains convince us, hey, let's buy a shiny new pair of shoes today rather than investing that exact same cash for a much larger return tomorrow. Our minds just aren't naturally wired for the distant future when immediate gratification is staring us right in the face.
And then we arrive at perhaps the most dangerous bias of the whole shebang: social proof, and the desperate need to keep up with the Joneses. This is buying Porsches, expensive clothes, or doing massive house renovations simply because our neighbors are doing it. And actually, scratch that, today the Joneses aren't just the family next door anymore. The Joneses are literally living in your pocket. They're on your social media feeds 24/7, creating this immense, continuous social pressure to just consume.
This forces a really tough realization. Do we care more about appearing as though we have many, or actually having it? Be honest with yourself here. Because measuring your self-worth by how many people hit like on photos of your consumption is exactly what keeps the rat race spinning. As long as your ego is tied to consumption, that bucket is always going to have a massive hole, draining everything you earn.
Now, personal finance movements like FIRE, financial independence, retire early, or minimalism, they absolutely love to teach frugality. They teach us to budget and plug those holes in the consumption bucket. And hey, that is incredibly valid and necessary. But if we truly want to win, we need a massive pivot to the other side of the equation, maximizing production. Controlling consumption stops the bleeding, for sure, but scaling your production is the ultimate leverage to actually build real wealth.
Here's the absolute truth of it all. Cutting expenses has a strict mathematical limit. You can only cut so much before you hit zero, right? But producing value, that has absolutely no ceiling. Personal finance titans like Graham Stephan or Dave Ramsey constantly promote living frugally to the masses, which is super safe advice. But let's be real. Dave Ramsey didn't build an estimated $55 million net worth, and Graham Stephan isn't making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month just by clipping coupons. They did it by maximizing their production at a massive scale.
So how is that actually done? Well, it's the objective reality of market scaling. You exponentially increase your value by following 3 simple steps. Find a problem in the market, create a solution for that problem, and then, here is the magic word, sell that solution at scale. When you utilize a vehicle that serves a massive amount of people, the production side of your equation grows exponentially in a way that a standard hourly wage simply cannot match. And production isn't limited to the strict definition of a traditional tech startup or a brick-and-mortar retail store. Just look at Ben Francis, who built an absolute empire with Gymshark, simply by leveraging fitness community better than anyone else. Or consider creating software apps. Or honestly, look at the very format we are utilizing right now, using a platform like YouTube to produce documentary-style explainers at scale. Scaling your unique skills, whether that's acting, editing, storytelling, or coding, is how you powerfully shift your identity from being just a consumer to becoming a powerful producer.
All right, let's pull all of this together into your actionable cheat code for escaping the rat race. Step 1. Journal your expenses. You absolutely have to overcome that ostrich effect and actually understand your habits as a consumer. Step 2. Create a budget to systematically live below your means. This creates your safety net and stops the financial bleeding. And finally, the ultimate growth engine, maximize your value production at scale. Stop just playing defense with your money and start playing offense by offering your unique value to as many people as humanly possible.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a really provocative thought from Tyler Durden in Fight Club. The things you own end up owning you. I want you to challenge your daily habits with this. Are you spending your limited time on Earth building your own value and freedom? Are you just working tirelessly to fund the very possessions that keep you trapped? Think about how you can become a producer today. Thanks so much for learning with me, and I challenge you to start scaling your value right now.